Good morning, everyone. I was challenged to create a more environmentally sound alternative to the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. And while I think that it has obviously accumulated an amazing amount of money for the ALS Association and other worthy causes, I think that it's really wasteful to pour water over your head. And I know that that's we're just splitting hairs here, but I did want to try my hand at something a little bit different. And I also think that the biggest problem with the Ice Bucket Challenge is that people are performing it, but they're not saying anything about the disease or anything about the association to which they're donating to. And I think that's, as a nursing student, I think that's the most important thing, is educating people about the disease and why it's so, the prognosis is so grim and why it's so important to donate funds. So my proposal is to pick 2 or more charities or foundations that you feel very strongly about. It doesn't have to be related to human diseases. For example, you could pick 2 animal charities that you feel very strongly about, and you could choose their mission statements. So to give you an example, let me pull up what I have here. You could put, we're going to do this in like a trivia kind of format. So I could state 2 different mission statements for animal charities. And I could say, the first mission statement is to provide effective means for the prevention of cruelty to animals throughout the United States. The second mission statement is celebrating animals confronting cruelty. Now, I put it to the people that I nominate to not cheat. This is based completely on honesty. That one of those statements comes from the ASPCA, and one of them comes from the Humane Society of the United States. They then guess which one it is. If they're right, then they get to create a video with 2 of their top choice charities or foundations. And if they're wrong, then they donate a minimum of $5 to one of those 2 foundations based on their mission statement. However, if I do choose to pick a disease process that has a related foundation, so to give an example today, I chose 3 different charities. And I'm going to give you an example using those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you about the disease processes. Then I'm going to give you links to the foundations. Those are just suggested foundations. If you do the research and you want to donate somewhere else that's related, that's absolutely fine. But without cheating, you have to tell me which disease process is number 1, which disease process is number 2, and which disease process is number 3. If you get all 3 of those right, you can make a video and you don't have to donate. Well, these are very loose rules. You can do whatever you want. No one's going to make you feel guilty. No one's going to be checking up on you. If you get any of them wrong, I suggest that you make a donation of at least $5 to one of those charities that's listed in the video. So, the 3 disease processes that I'm going to talk about are cystic fibrosis, ALS, and multiple sclerosis. So, you tell me which is which. The first one, I have my nursing textbook. We're really going to get serious. Okay, number 1. It is a rare progressive neurological disorder characterized by loss of motor neurons. It usually leads to death 2 to 6 years after diagnosis, but few patients may survive more than 10 years. The onset is usually between 40 and 70 years of age. However, we've seen cases where diagnosis is much younger than that. It is more common in men than women by a ratio of 2 to 1. Approximately 5,000 people in the United States are diagnosed with this disease every year. The typical symptoms of this disease are limb weakness, difficulty speaking, and difficulty swallowing. Muscle wasting and involuntary muscle contractions result from the how can I describe this? The tearing apart of nerves from the muscles and lack of stimulation and use of the muscles. Other symptoms include pain, sleep disorders, spasticity, drooling, emotional lability, depression, constipation, and esophageal reflux, so like GERD. Death usually results from respiratory tract infection secondary to compromised respiratory function. So that's disease number 1. See if you can guess which one that is. This is the next one. Disease number 2 is an autosomal recessive. This means that both parents have to have this disease. So it's a genetic disease. It is a multi-system disease characterized by altered transport of sodium and chloride ions, meaning salt ions when they're combined, by altered in and out of epithelial cells. Epithelial cells are it's the most predominant cell in your body. So like your skin cells or cells of certain organs, like surface cells of your organs. This defect primarily affects lungs, gastrointestinal tract, primarily pancreas and biliary tract, and the reproductive tract. Approximately 30,000 children and adults in the United States have this disease. About 10 million, which is 1 in every 31 Americans, are carrier of this gene, but do not have the disease. The first signs and symptoms typically occur in children, but some patients are not diagnosed until they are adults. Some live to over 80 years old. There is a protein that is localized, the gene is located on chromosome 7, and it produces a protein. The protein localizes to the epithelial surface of the airways, your gastrointestinal tract, and the ducts of the liver, pancreas, and sweat glands. So it affects a lot of systems. That's basically what that's saying. It regulates your sodium, and the protein regulates your sodium and chloride channels. The gene alters this protein in such a way that the channels are blocked. As a result, cells that line the passageways of the lungs, pancreas, intestines, and other organs produce secretions that are low in sodium chloride content, which means that they're low in their water content. So it makes the mucus abnormally thick and sticky. So the mucus plugs all the glands, and then they can't let things in and out, so they atrophy, which means that they get really small and they can die. And so this disease affects primarily the lungs, so they get lung infections, upper and lower, sweat glands, pancreas. They have malabsorption of fat, proteins, and fat-soluble vitamins, which are A, D, E, and K. They have disease-related diabetes. They also can have osteopenia and osteoporosis related to the disease, GI problems, GERD. The median age of diagnosis is 5 months. They're susceptible to infection because of respiratory issues. They have delayed puberty, reproductive issues, and women have difficulty conceiving. So that's disease number 2. And finally, disease number 3. I know this is like the longest video ever, but I'm trying to prove a point here. Last one. Disease number 3 is a chronic progressive degenerative disorder of the CNS characterized by spread damage of the nerve fibers of the brain and spinal cord. The onset is usually between 20 and 50 years of age, although it can occur in young teens and adults, and much older adults. Women are affected 2 to 3 times more often than men in this disease. The cause is unknown. researchers believe the disease develops in genetically susceptible people as a result, combined with environmental factors. The onset is insidious and gradual. The symptoms are very vague, so people typically don't get treated for it. The common manifestations are motor, sensory, cerebellar, so your brain. That has to do with like balance and stuff like that. Emotional problems. Motor symptoms include weakness or paralysis of the limbs, the trunk, or the head. You can get some double vision. Spasticity of the muscles. I just lost my place because monkey jumped on the table. Sensory abnormalities, numbness, tingling, patchy baldness, blurred vision, vertigo, ringing in the ears. Monkey's trying to knock my laptop off. Sorry, guys. You can have the cerebellar signs are when your eyes skip. It's called nystagmus. Uncoordinated movement, difficulty saying words, difficulty swallowing. You can have bowel and bladder dysfunction, a flaccid bladder, which can be an issue with lesions. We sometimes see that in stroke patients. And the average life expectancy of these patients is 25 years after the onset of symptoms. And death usually occurs from infectious complications such as pneumonia due to immobility because it is progressive, and it can also occur because of unrelated disease. So again, the three disorders were ALS, multiple sclerosis, and cystic fibrosis. See if you can match those to one another. You don't have to go as in-depth as I did. Like I said, I'm just trying to prove a point. Go to the Wikipedia page, read the first paragraph in your video. Challenge everyone to not cheat and look up their disorder just to get out of donating. That's not the point. The point is education. And again, if you look at these pages and you don't see that they're donating as much as you want to charity events, and that's what you want the money to go towards, I chose these foundations because they donate a lot of money towards research. If that's what you don't want the money to go to, it's your money. You decide what you want it to go to. But this is my alternative to the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. It's really the best I could do. So save your water and maybe try this out as an alternative, and you don't have to do a 13-minute video. So I'm nominating Kat Tierney. Sorry, Kat. Justin Simison. I'm going to nominate Wally. I would nominate Sean, but I don't think he's going to do it. And Chloe Brandon. Okay? You guys are awesome. Thanks for being my guinea pigs. Love you all. Bye.